please welcome on stage Andre.
Thank you, and good afternoon. It's a great honor for me to be here and to get a chance to talk to you at the invitation of NATO, known to the world as the strongest military alliance in history. But I have a confession to make today from the very beginning. I am part of an army that is bigger and more influential than NATO itself. I have joined this army at the young age of 11 as a simple soldier, without receiving a uniform, without proper military instruction, and without having to give 2.5%, but with a lot of time spent online, I now have very powerful weapons at my disposal. I could change opinions, manipulate the masses, interfere in the democratic process, and spread toxic ideologies using these weapons. I'm talking about the information army, established in the information age. It's not a mandatory military service. All of us joined voluntarily. And today, this army counts over 5 billion soldiers worldwide. That's everyone with an internet connection. When bad actors use these weapons to manipulate, disinform, to hide their true actions and intent, when this happens, human rights, world peace, and democracy are in great jeopardy. Military conflicts all around the world happening nowadays are doubled by this informational warfare, in which all of us can be used as soldiers. Now, 85% of EU citizens feel like their governments should do more to combat the spread of misinformation and fake news. That's according to a recent study by the Bertelsmann Stiftung Foundation. And governments, well, they do take this matter seriously. All around the world, authorities are debating ways on how to stop misinformation and fake news. Some of the proposals, though, they are mostly around censorship and the government having more control over social media. Well, I think censorship is not the solution to this problem. In fact, it's the opposite. Censorship is the fuel to this fire. If you want extremists to thrive, go ahead and censor them. Take down their posts, ban their accounts. That fits perfectly in their cause and in their theory that there is a conspiracy to hide the truth. By taking away their platform, we are actually giving them a way bigger platform. I think the approach to stopping disinformation should not be about how to stop the ones who speak. We need to think about how to educate the ones who listen. Someone whose opinion is censored has a very high chance of becoming an extremist. But an educated listener has the tools to disarm a soldier that's using the weapons of misinformation. And that's the most crucial part. We need better listeners, listeners that are equipped with critical thinking. And when they will stop listening to the noise and start looking for ideas that are backed up by actual facts, bad actors will have a way harder time pushing disinformation. Now, of course, this is a way harder endeavor. It's a long-term one. It's an effort that will span generations. Censorship, it looks like the easier solution. Well, it might be easier, but it's definitely not a solution. First off, how much can you really censor by hand? Mark Zuckerberg was asked in US Congress if we will, quote, take down lies. Now, leaving aside the implications this has on the whole concept of freedom of speech, how many lies can you really take down using human resources when your social network has 3 billion users? Probably a very, very tiny percentage, so you're going to resort to algorithms to make the call for you. Well, I don't want to live in a dystopian world where an AI decides what's true and what's not. This is not something that is settled with zeros and ones. There is a lot of middle ground. There are things that we don't know. There are things that we are not sure about. Not all the things that are said in the world can fit perfectly into these two categories, true or false. And in this process of censorship, freedom of speech is lost, extremism flourishes, and the people's trust in government is greatly diminished. People should judge with their own eyes and decide if they believe a piece of information. But yes, it would be best if those eyes were properly trained to spot the signs of a fake news or a coordinated manipulation campaign. I'm actually very glad that in Romania, my home country, extremism is far less widespread compared to the rest of Europe. Because we have witnessed firsthand for the last 20 years the tremendous positive implications of being a NATO member. I was born when Romania was in the middle of negotiations for this alliance. And I'm as proud to be a member of NATO as I am proud to be Romanian. Even our extremists, and we have plenty of them, have to at least appear to be pro-NATO to keep their popularity. That's how popular this alliance is in Romania. Aside from that, yes, they do have plenty of bad ideas, and they are free to spread them. No one is censoring them as long as they are not breaking any laws or the constitution of our country, but their tactics don't work as well here. Because us Romanians are taught from a very, very young age by our parents to question everything, to not take the truth for granted, to research for ourselves. Nowadays there is a term for this, almost a buzzword, it's called media literacy. Our parents, they didn't know the term, but they damn well knew the dangers of propaganda. After all, it's their generation that has overthrown the communist regime in a bloody revolution. For them, freedom, which includes freedom of speech, is not a given, but something they had to fight for, to die for. And after the revolution, Romania witnessed its first free elections in 1990, and along with that, its first ever televised presidential debate. And there is one quote from that debate that remains memorable to this day, said by one of the candidates. It says the following: "The essence of democracy can be expressed in a single sentence. I will fight until my last drop of blood for your right to disagree with me." We ended up voting for the other guy though, but that's a whole other story. And then we were disappointed, which brings me, last but not least, to another cause why extremism flourishes: the people's major distrust and disappointment in the political establishment. Weak leadership. I sincerely think that right now, globally, we are in a leadership crisis. And this is fertile ground for extremism, because people are genuinely saying, we voted for those guys and nothing changed. We tried with these other guys, same thing, different branding. Maybe now, let's change something. Maybe these guys with more extreme ideas, maybe they would get something done. At least they look more passionate about it. And it's true, they do look more passionate. Their campaigns, they have more life to them. You know why? Because a fake headline will always be more interesting and easier to grasp than the actual nuanced reality. Policy making, the act of actually getting something done, is a laborious and boring process that most people don't even want to bother understanding. But that's what makes a great reader. There are people who are great at reading, and then people who are great at campaigning, and unfortunately, we always vote for the latter. And in this world that is more and more fast-paced, with more and more content flooding our social feeds, unfortunately, we don't take enough time to digest information, to separate the truth from the lies. But we need to do this. We need to look beyond sensationalist statements, sensationalist headlines, and political campaigns, and look for the truth. Not just for the sake of democracy, but world peace. Because, like our parents taught us, we cannot take the truth for granted. Not anymore. Thank you all very much.